Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the pre-dawn hush of Tenochtitlán's Grand Plaza, where you'll find yourself shivering in the chill before sunrise, draped in jaguar and eagle regalia that feels heavier than your winter coat and smells just as wild. You probably won't survive a full ceremony without at least one misstep on those slick volcanic stones, trust me. Those claws and feathers are not beginner-friendly, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Oh, and drop a comment with your local location and time, so I know where you're tuning in from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You drag your feet across flagstones polished by centuries of sandals, each step echoing like a distant drum roll, waking the world. Around you, warriors slip jaguar pelts over their shoulders, thick spotted fur that whispers of moonlit hunts, and strap sleek eagle feathers into their headdresses, so tall they'd block your car's rearview mirror. Faces, once pale from the night's slumber, are streaked with bands of red cinnabar and white lime paste painted in zigzags and spirals meant to channel solar energy directly into your cheekbones. Strange fact, some warriors carried tiny gourds of lime paste to retouch their face paint mid-drumming, so they look Instagram ready even after a sweaty chorus of beats. Historians still debate whether these touch-up kits were sacred ritual tools or just ancient cosplay accessories. You crouch beside a stack of huehuetl drums, massive hollowed cedar trunks, topped with taut deer skins that hum when you tap them. You run a finger along the carved glyphs depicting the sun god Tenochtitlán, ripping open the sky, feeling the grooves warm from the breath of earlier drummers. Gripping a bone paddle shaped like a claw, you give it a tentative tap, a muted thud that vibrates through your chest like the bass at a concert you forgot to earplug. Nearby, veteran drummers nod approvingly, their scarred hands tracing intricate patterns that look like someone tweeted heart emojis in stone. As you don your own loincloth dyed a fierce cochineal red, you catch the scent of copal incense drifting from a nearby altar, sweet and resinous like walking into a pine-scented candle factory. A warrior to your right tightens his jade necklace, the beads clicking softly like a minimalist watch alarm, reminding you time to perform. You grin and nod. He returns the gesture with a flash of white teeth that could rival your dentist's brightest promo. It's the calm before the thunderstorm, and you feel the electricity crackle between each warrior. Voices murmur that this dawn greeting dates back to the grand consecration of the Templo Mayor in 1487 CE, when thousands gathered for the largest human sacrifice in Aztec history, and then woke the next morning with the first collective drumbeat ever recorded in stone. A popular historical event indeed, and you can almost see waves of sound rippling through the city, rattling thatched roofs like a washing machine on spin cycle. A light joke flits through your mind: if only your neighbor's car alarm could reliably summon the sun as these drums do. You raise your paddle for one last practice tap, a crisp, resonant boom that seems to vibrate the carvings of serpents and eagles at the pyramid's base. The horizon to the east blushes faintly, a promise of molten gold edging through indigo sky. In that hush between heartbeats, you realize that when dawn breaks, you won't just be hitting skins. You'll be calling the sun itself to rise. And as your fellow drummers fall silent, you steel yourself, ready to unleash a thunderous rhythm that has echoed across centuries to reach your ears tonight. You find yourself crouched in a dimly lit workshop where shafts of dawn light slant through narrow windows, illuminating rows of huehuetl drums lined up like silent sentinels. Remember those gourds of lime paste from the last part? You can almost taste their tang as you step between cedar trunks carved into perfect barrels. Priests in flowing quetzal green cloaks run slender fingers along taut deerskins, listening for that sweet spot where a tap produces a drumbeat so rich it could rattle the very stones of the Templo Mayor. You reach out, pressing a palm against one skin, cool and springy under your fingers like the bounce of a freshly made mattress, only with more ritual weight. Beside you, a veteran warrior lifts a pine-bodied drum etched with jaguar tracks, testing its resonance with a single deliberate tap. The deep, sonorous thud reverberates through your chest, reminding you of the thunderstorm that drenched the city just days before the great Panketsalistli festival, when the skies opened up and everyone joked the gods were celebrating early. Strange fact, they sometimes soak deer skins in cactus juice to tighten them further, a trick so secret even their neighbors had to squint hard to notice the extra snap. You tip your head to catch the scent of fresh copal incense burning at a corner altar, its sweet smoke curling around drum rims as if performing its own percussive dance. A priest murmurs an incantation, a low humming chant praising Zyptotec's regenerative power, while another scribes glyphs onto the drum side a final blessing before its first sunrise performance. It's like a quality control inspection at a luxury car factory. Except here, the product is meant to wake the sun, and the assembly line involves more feathers than assembly lines usually permit. You step back and watch the selection process unfold. Cedar pine wildcat, hide deerskin, each combination promising a different timbre. One drum booms like distant thunder, another whispers like wind through maize stalks. You can't help but grin. Your modern headphones can't even begin to compete with this acoustic palette unless they come with a built-in volcanic ash filter. Historians still debate whether Aztec craftsmen preferred cedar for its deep resonance or pine for its brighter overtones. But everyone agrees that choosing the right drum could make or break the dawn ceremony. As the first birds stir outside, you marvel at how deliberate every choice feels. No random good enough models here. Warriors lean in nodding as skins are stretched, peels of obsidian sharpened paddles, and priests sprinkle drops of perfumed water to settle the membranes. A light joke crosses your mind. Imagine those priests judging your Spotify playlists for optimal sunrise vibes. When the final drum is chosen, a massive cedar barrel crowned with deer hide, you lift its polished rim and feel its promise, a single resonant beat that will ripple across Tenochtitlán like a heartbeat calling blood through veins. In this sacred workshop, you've witnessed the alchemy of wood, skin, and spirit merging into the perfect instrument. Soon enough, that drum will lead the chorus greeting Tonatiuh with a roar that no sunrise can ignore. You slip into the cool shade of a covered patio where artisans crouch around huehuetl drums like a circle of careful musicians tuning their instruments before a concert. Here, each drum is a canvas, and you're about to witness the sacred art of cinnabar decoration. You kneel beside a broad cedar trunk, its deer hide skin already stretched tight, and watch as a master painter stirs a vermilion paste made from ground cinnabar mixed with water and a whisper of copal resin, its scent tangy and slightly piney-like, opening a fresh tube of spicy chapstick. The pace glides over the hide in spirals and sunbursts, each stroke confident as a poet's quill dancing across parchment. You can feel the paste's velvet thickness under your fingertips when he offers you a quick dab, tiny red flecks catching on your skin like confetti from an ecstatic festival. Around you, other artisans work on drums destined for one of history's grandest celebrations, the Huitzilopochtli Festival, honoring Huitzilopochtli each December. Imagine the year 1507 CE, when the newly crowned Moctezuma II oversaw a dawn ceremony so spectacular that even neighboring city-states sent envoys to marvel at the blazing sun symbols radiating from the decorated drums. A popular historical event indeed, and you can almost hear echoes of that first sunrise beat resounding across the valley. A light joke flickers, your local morning alarm doesn't come close to the collective roar. These drums would unleash your snooze button, would have been wiped off the map. The artist's apprentice hands you a fine brush carved from eagle quills. You gently trace a glyph of Tenochtitlan's fiery face, a snarling sun with rays fanning out like a warrior's feathered headdress. The brush feels delicate in your hand, loaded with enough pigment to stain your tunic for days. It's as if you're shopping for that perfect bold lipstick shade that won't fade after lunch. You carefully follow the master's lead, drawing a zigzag pattern that mirrors lightning striking an obsidian mirror. Each line is meant to invoke the sun's jagged rays and channel divine energy into the drum's heartbeat. Strange fact, some artisans mix the cinnabar with droplets of warrior sweat collected after 4 days of fasting, believing that human vitality would infuse the drum with extra power, an ancient version of pre-workout minus the neon packaging. Historians still debate whether that sweat ritual actually enhanced the drum's resonance or was simply a theatrical flourish to impress spectators. As dawn light filters through woven reed screens, you inhale the earthy tang of wet clay nearby left over from potters crafting jars of ceremonial cacao. That aroma melds with the cinnabar's mineral tang and the faint whisper of incense smoke drifting from a corner altar. You pause to savor the sensory overload, the warm stickiness of pigment under your nails, the citrusy snap of copal drift, and the distant call of temple singers tuning their voices for the upcoming ceremony. A light joke pops into your mind. If only modern paint stores offered a divine worship line with complimentary incense, they could corner the niche market for ritual home makeovers. Nearby, a cluster of priests inspects each painted drum, their eagle plume headdresses bobbing as they nod in approval. One priest traces a glyph with a feathered quill, murmuring an incantation that sounds like wind rattling through dried corn husks. They sprinkle a fine dust of ground amaranth flour over the fresh cinnabar, sealing the pigment and adding a soft pink shimmer when it catches the light like the world's first highlighter palette. A light joke drifts through your mind. You'd kill for a cosmetics line named Amaranth Glow, though the FDA might raise an eyebrow at a product that's part pigment, part prayer. You overhear a hushed debate among the priests about whether the cinnabar designs should include calendrical symbols marking the Huitzilopochtli ceremony every 52 years. Some argue that adding those glyphs will bond the drum to cosmic cycles, while others worry it muddles the pure sun imagery. It reminds you of trendy graphic designers wrangling over whether to add hashtags to a logo. Only here the stakes involve divine appeasement rather than brand engagement. Historians still debate whether those calendrical glyphs ever made it onto the drums or remained an unfulfilled proposal buried in temple archives. As your section of drum joins the others in neat rows, you notice each design differs slightly. Some boast concentric circles meant to mimic the Milky Way as seen on clear nights over Lake Texcoco. Others feature stylized feathered serpents coiling around the rim, symbolizing Quetzalcoatl's guidance of the sun across the sky. You run your hand along one serpent's raised scales, feeling the slight ridge where pigment pooled a tactile detail designed to catch the first slant of dawn light in prismatic glints, much like a designer might add foil stamping to a premium invitation. The drums collectively form a tapestry of cosmic artistry, waiting to be activated by the thunderous strikes you and your fellow drummers will deliver. In the corner, apprentices mix fresh batches of cinnabar paste in mortar bowls, their arms dusted scarlet, looking like they auditioned for a Gladiator's remake of a summer blockbuster. They scoop one final mound of pigment, pressing it into carved grooves along the drum's foot-hidden seals, known only to drumkeepers. These seals, decorated with the artisan's personal glyph, guarantee authenticity and lineage, much like a master brewer's signature on a limited edition ale. Strange fact, only a handful of these seal patterns have ever been deciphered, leaving modern researchers guessing whether they denote workshop origin, individual artistry, or secret blessings. Historians still debate whether those seals functioned as quality marks or were discreet oaths of silence among the artisan guild. Finally, as the first stars wink out before sunrise, you back away and gaze at the completed assembly, a grand orchestra of red-patterned drums each, a testament to devotion, craftsmanship, and the Aztec worldview. Your fingers still tingling from pigment, you lift your drum paddle and tap the nearest drum's rim just once. The sound rings bright and clear, a crystalline ping that promises the symphony to come. In those resonant vibrations, you sense the artist's spirits mingling with the sun's fiery presence, ready to leap into life at dawn's first light. And as you step into the growing glow, you carry with you the knowledge that every painted line, every sacred glyph is a thread in the tapestry of an empire, greeting its son with art, ritual, and thunderous celebration. You plant your foot on the first of dozens of sheer stone steps and feel a jolt of anticipation ripple up your spine. This isn't your neighborhood stairwell, but the sacred ascent of the Templo Mayor, where every footfall carries you closer to Tenochtitlán himself. The stones are cool and smooth from countless pilgrim sandals, yet each one rises nearly a foot high. Imagine climbing a gym stairmaster set to inhuman level. As you lean forward, the carved reliefs of coiling serpents and proud eagles flash past your periphery, their obsidian eyes glinting in the torchlight like silent sentinels. Strange fact, some steps were polished with crushed snail shells to a mirror sheen, making them practically slip-and-slides during rainy season. Historians still debate whether that extra gloss was meant to dazzle visitors or punish the clumsiest climbers. Your breath comes in soft puffs of mist as you ascend each exhalation, mingling with the tang of copal incense drifting up from below, sweet resinous curls that cling to your hair like aromatic tendrils. Behind you, the hushed drumbeats you've chosen echo faintly, a distant heartbeat calling you onward. Ahead, warriors in feathered headdresses glide past their tread, silent against the stone, as if they've mastered a version of stealth that would make modern ninjas jealous. You catch a glimpse of a veteran drummer ahead, his jaguar claw paddle tucked into his belt like a backstage pass, pausing to brush dust from a glyph depicting the sun's fiery disk. Mid-climb, you pause at a landing where the city sprawls beneath you. Mud brick rooftops, canals glinting like silver ribbons, and the distant pyramid shadow stretching toward Lake Texcoco. It's easier than urban sprawl view from a condo balcony, but somehow more electric. Every tile, every canal feels charged with collective intent. A light joke surfaces. Your morning elevator view of traffic jams could never compete with this panorama of woven causeways and chinampas. You resume climbing, eyes fixed on the small carved handholds that clever masons cut into the stone risers. Each indent is no bigger than your palm, yet offers welcome leverage like ancient Lego blocks built to boost your grip. Climbing here, you realize why Aztec priests trained for years before ever reaching the summit. It's a full-body workout that would make CrossFitters weep. At exactly 77 steps up, you pause again where 4 priests stand guard, chanting softly in unison, their voices weaving through the stairwell like gentle wind through reeds. This very stairwell was first trodden en masse during the grand consecration in 1487 CE under King Huitzilopochtli, when an estimated 80,000 participants processed in near-endless waves. A popular historical event indeed, and you can almost hear the swirl of noise, chants, drum beats, and trumpeting conch shells rising from below. Now, as you plant your hand on the final step and look to the open sky above you, feel the weight of centuries lifting with your chest. The summit awaits, and with it, the moment when your drumbeat will join the first crack of dawn, greeting the sun at its birthplace. You plant your feet firmly on the summit's broad platform as the horizon blushes from inky indigo to molten gold, the cool air electric with anticipation. Around you, warriors raise their huehuetl drums high, the polished cedar hoops catching the first light like dark mirrors. You grip your bone paddle tighter, feeling its carved ridges press into your palm, every groove a reminder that this moment bridges earth and sky. Then, with a collective breath, held dozens of paddle tips strike the skins in unison, a single thunderous beat that cracks the morning silence like a cosmic eggshell. The vibration ripples through you, rattling your teeth and rolling down your spine as though Tenochtitlán himself expelled a roar waking from his nightly journey. It's the exact pulse that first shattered dawn's hush in 1487 CE during Huitzilopochtli's grand temple consecration, a popular historical event that sent shockwaves through every canal, courtyard, and market across Tenochtitlán. The echo bounces off the pyramid's flanks and cascades down the stone terraces in rippling waves morphing from a growl at your feet to a bass drop in the sky. You stagger back a step, jaw slack, as the sound washes over the city below. Markets freeze, mid-haggle priests pause mid-chant, and even the wind seems to hush in respect. It's like standing under a stadium speaker at peak volume, only here the amplifier is an entire empire's faith channeled through taut animal hide. Strange fact, Aztec drum makers sometimes mixed cactus juice into deer skins before drying them, creating a membrane so responsive that it could produce a range of tones depending on humidity, an ancient tweak NASCAR engine tuners would envy. Historians still debate whether those bio-tuned skins were preferred for summit ceremonies or reserved for elite processions. But tonight's crescendo proves their deft craftsmanship. As the vibration subsides into a rolling heartbeat, you catch your breath and look east just in time to see the sun's rim crest the horizon, its first rays slicing through the lingering mist. A chorus of second and third drum beats, though, follows deliberate rhythmic accents that seem to coax those golden tendrils higher, as if drumming the sun awake. You feel each strike reverberate through the platform stones at your feet, grounding you, even as your spirit soars. The warriors beside you rock, in time their bodies acting like primitive metronomes, faces ablaze with cinnabar paint that glitters in dawn's glow. It's the same choreography witnessed by early Spanish chroniclers who marveled and sometimes feared how sound and sunrise intertwined so perfectly it seemed preordained. In that charged moment, the plaza below erupts in response. Temple bells clang, conch shells toot, and distant villages answer back, with their own drums echoing across Lake Texcoco's glassy surface. You lift your paddle for one final declarative strike, an exclamation point beneath the sun's awakening. The resonance stretches across miles, binding shore to stone performer to deity. It's like an ancient version of a global live stream event where every listener feels the beat in their bones regardless of distance or language. Strange fact, some modern acoustic engineers believe the pyramid's angle and stone composition were deliberately chosen to amplify these dawn beats, though no conclusive architectural plans survive. Historians still debate whether this was accidental genius or a carefully encoded design. But either way, you've just experienced the world's first sunrise sound system. Breathing heavily, you lower your paddle and gaze as Tenochtitlán climbs skyward, his light flooding the summit with warmth that chases off the last flecks of night chill. The drums transition into a softer rolling cadence, steady like a heart that settling into a calm rhythm, guiding worshipers through final chants and offerings. You wipe sweat and cinnabar from your brow, tasting metal and earth on your tongue, and realize that this single invocation has shaped calendars, fortified empires, and echoed in every sunrise ritual that followed. In the hush that follows, you feel a profound connection to the craftsmen who tuned those first drums, to the warriors who beat them, and to every soul across time who stood waiting for the sun's fiery embrace. And as you step back from the edge of dawn, you carry that thunderous heartbeat with you, a timeless reminder that sometimes all it takes is one powerful strike to awaken the world. You brace yourself as the drums shift from solo echoes into a synchronized chorus, each strike cascading through your veins like a tidal surge of sound. You feel your heart flutter in response. Thump, thump, mirroring the huehuetl's embrace of cedar and deer hide. Around you, warriors lean into their paddles, shoulders squared and chests thrown forward so that every beat you contribute becomes part of a collective pulse. It's the moment when individual rhythm dissolves into a living tapestry of sound, binding dozens of hearts into one mighty drumbeat that seems to suspend time itself. The day was chosen to coincide with the midway point of the Huitzilopochtli festival in 1507 CE, when Moctezuma II invited envoys from Tlaxcala and Texcoco to witness this very heartbeat ceremony atop the temple steps. You imagine the dignitaries' faces stunned into reverent silence as the ground trembled beneath their feet, a popular historical event that chroniclers later compared to volcanic rumblings. Even now, centuries later, you can almost taste that charged air sweet sweat, mingled with the resinous tang of copal smoke, a scent so thick it clings to your lungs and calls forth memories of ancestral power. As the drums roll on, you become acutely aware of the subtle variations in resonance. Some paddles strike with a punch that rattles your skull, others whisper like wind through maize stalks. That layered texture tricks your senses into feeling a second heartbeat, deeper and steadier, as if the earth itself join the chorus. You lean in, closing your eyes to focus on the vibrato under your feet, and for a heartbeat, you lose yourself in pure sensation, a living, breathing organism of sound that pulses in tandem with every warrior around you. Strange fact, some courts historians claim huehuetl skins were deliberately soaked in Damiana extract to amplify this effect, lending the drums an almost hypnotic sustain that outlasted normal human attention spans. In the swirl of vibration, you catch yourself laughing softly, part elation, part astonishment, as you realize this communal heartbeat is the original group workout predating modern spin classes by centuries. Imagine your local gym's bass pounding through Bluetooth speakers. Only here the walls are open sky, the soundtrack is artisan crafted, and every participant is both spectator and performer. You shift your paddle's angle to catch an extra shimmer off the drumhead and feel a fresh surge of resonance that seems to ripple outward, nudging the sunrise forward. With each strike, the line between self and ceremony blurs your breath, slows to match the opening drumbeat, your pulse steadies into the rhythm of empire, and you sense an unspoken bond stretching across generations. Historians still debate whether this heartbeat connection was engineered by master drum makers or simply emerged from the collective will of the warriors. But standing here, you know that whatever its origin, it forges an invisible thread that ties every soul present to the light, cresting the horizon. You step back from the drums and let your ears adjust to the rising chorus of priestly voices, each syllable vibrating through the plaza like ripples in a still pond. The chants begin as a low hum, O Tonatio, bearer of life, growing swiftly into a melodic tide that washes over the percussive thunder you helped unleash. You feel the vibration tickle the hairs on your arms, much like that first reverberation when your phone's bass speaker tries to play a dubstep track. Only here, there's no distortion, just pure ancient resonance. Around you, priests clad in eagle plume headdresses rock gently on their heels, swaying in unison as they intone praise for the sun god. Their voices intertwine like strands of golden maize stalks braided by dawn's first light, creating a tapestry of sound so immersive it outshouts any modern choir performance you've ever endured. You catch a whiff of their cinnamon-scented oils smuggled from distant trade routes, a spicy warmth that mingles with the lingering aroma of copal. It's like someone sprayed a cinnamon latte into the air ducts before a yoga class, unexpected yet oddly soothing. Above, the sun climbs higher and priests shift into a faster chant, Tonatli Empe in Tonete. Their syllables snap like obsidian blades carving the morning air into sharp patterns that echo off stone reliefs. You raise your paddle in tribute, tapping a light counter rhythm on your drum's rim, feeling for a groove that complements their rising melody. It's the same synergy chronicled during Moctezuma II's coronation in 1502 CE, when European envoys first witnessed this sunrise symphony and compared it to cannon fire, an event so famous that Spanish letters still marvel at its power. Strange fact, some priests reportedly gargled a mixture of honey and cactus sap before chanting, believing it protected their vocal cords from the strain of high-altitude acoustics. An ancient throat coat, if you will. You grin at the image of modern vocalists swigging cactus-flavored cough syrup backstage. Historians still debate whether that honey cactus concoction actually improved sound quality or was simply a theatrical flourish designed to impress neophyte pilgrims. As the chorus crescendos, You're struck by how the chants don't just accompany the drums, they seem to ride atop them, weaving high flutes of melody through the low growl of percussion. The combined effect feels like standing inside a living organism, your heartbeat sinking to a rhythm older than any stone beneath your feet. A light joke flits through your mind. It's like the world's most extreme slow jam audio track, remixed by the entire empire. When the final syllables fade, replaced by a gentle murmur of wind over the plaza's parapets, you exhale, tasting the sweet smoke and salt of sweat on your lips. The priests lower their arms, and an expectant hush falls, broken only by distant conch-shell trumpets heralding the next rite. In that stillness, you realize this chant isn't mere background music. It's the vocal spine that holds this dawn ritual upright, binding mortal drumbeats to divine light. And as you ready your paddle for the next refrain, you carry the echo of those voices in your bones, a timeless hymn that greets the sun in every whispered prayer and every rising dawn that follows. You feel the platform tremble as the dawn light floods the plaza, and in that golden blaze, warriors pivot and hoist their huehuetl drums high above their heads, the cedar rims gleaming like burnished bronze. You lift yours too, muscles tensing under the jaguar cloak, and watch as the first rays catch the drum's painted glyphs, spinning sunbursts and stylized serpent scales in a dazzling flash. It's like someone turned on a stadium spotlight mid-concert, except this time the riff is all wood and skin, and the stage is the sky itself. Around you, the assembly mirrors, the motion drums' lifted paddles, poised faces upturned in unison. This gesture dates back to 1481 CE, when Emperor Tizoc installed a giant golden sun disk atop the Templo Mayor, and forever linked the raising of drums to the unveiling of Tenochtitlán's radiant emblem, a popular historical event indeed, and you can almost imagine the crowd gasping as that first disc shimmered in the sun, the drums held aloft like a celestial salute. A light joke drifts through your mind. If only your work presentation had such a dramatic reveal, you'd totally remember everyone's names. As you cradle the drum above your head, the skin hums against the world's first backbeat. Silence, the vibration traveling down your arms like warm syrup. Strange fact, some master drum makers in Texcoco lined their drums' hollow cores with crushed turquoise dust, so that when raised, the interior sparkled like the lake at sunrise, an ancient mood ring for the gods. Historians still debate whether this was meant to dazzle the altars or simply distract rival city-states hoping to mimic the spectacle. Minutes stretch as the sun climbs higher, and you feel the heat kiss your neck, mixing with the earthy scent of copal and the faint tang of sweat. A distant shout rises from below, an echo of conch-shell trumpets sounding the moment, and with practiced precision, you level the drum forward, unleashing a thunderous roll that seems to cradle the sun in its cradle. It's the ultimate cosmic hug, a percussive embrace that says, "Good morning, Tenochtitlán. Your stage is ready." You can't help but grin at how this beats any modern sunrise yoga live stream you've ever tried, no stretchy pants required. When the roll subsides, you lower the drum in a slow arc, its skin singing a final trill like a satisfied cat stretching after a nap. The plaza bursts into applause, claps of shields, and shouts of Huey, even though hype wasn't a word they used. As the crowd dissipates, you steady your breathing, feeling the echo still thrumming through your bones. In this moment of sun disk reverence, you participated in a ritual that fuses art devotion and raw power proof that sometimes the simplest gesture, lifting a drum to meet the light, can resonate across centuries and still bring a little magic to your morning. You stand at the temple's eastern edge where the stone platform meets the misty expanse of Lake Texcoco and lift your paddle for another resonant strike. The drum's roar cuts through the dawn chill, then slips across the water's glassy surface, rippling outward in ever-widening circles. You watch as the pale sunrise glimmers on each undulation, carrying your heartbeat to villages slumbering along the far shore. The rhythmic thuds bounce off the reed beds and low hills drifting into doorways and weaving through thatched roofs like a celestial alarm clock, no snooze button in sight. Strange fact, some fishermen claim they could hear the echo up to 20 kilometers away long before any megaphone existed. Historians still debate whether those power user anglers were exaggerating or simply blessed with mythical ears. As you settle into the next beat, you recall the tale of Hernán Cortés in 1519 CE, when Spanish chroniclers aboard their brigantines first mistook these sunrise drums for an incoming war flotilla. According to legend, Cortés nearly ordered his men to arms, convinced the Aztecs were marshaling their forces just beyond the reeds. Talk about a misread group chat. A popular historical event indeed, when drumbeats became diplomatic smoke signals, accidentally threatening an entire armada. You can almost hear the captain shouting, "More cannon." No, wait, just more paddles. A light joke flits through your mind. If only Cortés had Spotify, he might have recognized the playlist as Aztec Sunrise Sounds Volume 1. You pause mid-echo to savor the lake breeze, a cocktail of brackish water and blooming water lilies that tickles your nostrils, then dive back into the rhythm. Each pound on the deer hide skin sends a shiver through the drum's core, and those tremors feed back into the water, adding their own tiny crest to the echoing waves. It feels like your heartbeat has become one with the lake's pulse, an ancient Bluetooth sync, though nobody needed a password. Strange fact, some acoustic researchers today theorize that the Templo Mayor's angled staircases and open-air design deliberately focused sound toward Lake Texcoco, creating a natural amphitheater. Historians still debate whether Aztec architects planned this sonic projection or stumbled upon it by sheer accident during temple expansions. Out on the water, you see fishermen lay their nets in neat rows, nodding as the distant roll of drums nudges them awake. The nets vibrate in time with your strikes, sending thin shivers through the webbing that tangle fish scales into tiny twinkling prisms. You smile at the sight. Modern alarms simply flash at screen, but here sound and sight converge. The lake shivers, the nets glimmer, and the drumbeats stitch quilt-like patterns across the dawn sky. A light joke bubbles up. Download an alarm app that flings wet fish nets across your bedroom to wake you up, guaranteed to beat any buzzer. Along the shoreline, farmers pause mid-plow, gripping wooden handles dusted with dew. The bronze glint of their digging tools flashes as they lift heads to greet the morning call. Behind them, maize fields rustle in time, corn stalks swaying like an enormous audience, nodding in approval. You almost expect a wave of stalks to lap at your ankles, offering you a wet hug. Strange fact, villagers believed that the echoing drumbeats stirred the spirits of the crops, urging them to yield sweeter kernels. Historians still debate whether this was sincere agricultural magic or a clever post hoc explanation by marketplace merchants hawking blessed seeds. Back on the temple steps, you transition into a driving role, your paddle carving arcs of sound that skim across the water's sheen. the villagers' distant drums answer in kind, less polished perhaps, but earnest and rhythmic, like an underground fan remix. The call and response across the miles creates a network of living sound, every paddle stroke a data packet transmitted without wires or routers. In this primordial group chat, you're both broadcaster and listener, your heartbeat uniting villages, warriors, priests, and farmers in a shared dawn ritual. As the final echoes fade into the morning mist, soft as a whispered lullaby, you set your paddle aside and close your eyes. You taste salt on your lips from the lake spray, feel lingering vibrations in your fingertips, and sense the village dogs waking to stretch and yelp in approval. The sun now hovers fully above the horizon, bathing the plaza in warm amber light. You inhale deeply, drawing in the scent of rippling water, moistened stone, and the faint tang of maize tortillas cooking on distant hearths. And in that breath, you recognize the power of sound to transcend distance, bind disparate souls, and awaken not just a god, but an entire world. Historians still debate whether echoes across lake remained purely ceremonial or doubled as an early warning system for approaching storms or invading fleets. But you know what? You felt here a living pulse that turns water into a conductor and paddles into lightning rods for communal spirit. As you step back from the edge, your feet wet with dew, you carry that echoed embrace with you, proof that when you beat the drum at dawn, you awaken more than a sun. You awaken hearts across the water's mirror, united in a single timeless song. You descend the steep stone steps and are swallowed by the kaleidoscope of Huitzilopochtli festival that stretches across the plaza like a giant feathered carpet. Here, your sunrise drumbeats melt into a broader tapestry of banners, dancers, and offerings at Tenochtitlán's sacred midpoint when Huitzilopochtli's warrior spirit takes center stage. The air hums with chanting priests, crackling copal smoke, and the metallic tang of freshly snapped obsidian blades blending into a heady perfume that makes your modern air freshener seem like scented water. You weave between dancers draped in quetzal plumes so bright they'd make a neon sign blush, and merchants hawking red-dyed tortillas shaped like sun discs. A light joke surfaces. Your hometown fair's funnel cakes have nothing on these flaming hot maize snacks. As you navigate the throng, you feel drum echoes rolling through your bones, carrying your heart's rhythm into the festival crowd. Groups of young warriors perform the Huitzilopochtli dance, stamping their feet in sync with your morning beats, their footfalls sounding like rhythmic thuds on giant wooden speakers. Each step kicks up fine volcanic dust, which swirls in glowing motes under the rising sun like a cinematic slow-mo scene in your favorite action flick only. It's real life and infinitely more exhilarating. Strange fact, during Huitzilopochtli, some dancers bind maguey thorns to their legs, so each stomp ejects tiny red petals, an ancient version of confetti cannons. Historians still debate whether those petal bursts symbolize spilled warrior blood or simply made the floor prettier. You follow a trail of offerings laid on woven reed mats, bowls of spiral-cut garfish plates of honey-glazed grasshoppers, and jars of frothy cacao spiced with chili, an energy drink that could power a marathon of temple construction. Curious, you dare a taste of the spiced cacao. It's thick and bittersweet, with a prickly heat that tickles your throat like the world's feistiest espresso. A light joke bubbles up. If your local bar served Aztec mocha chili, half the line would be snaking around the block. Nearby families offer miniature sun posters painted on amate paper hoping to borrow divine favor for the coming crop season. Drums now punctuate each ceremony. Ring your own huehuetl's pulse, threading through ribbon dancers who whirl past clutching glowing pine torches like living fireflies. You see a retinue of high priests carrying ornate incense burners, shaped like coiled serpents, their smoke curling around participants like a VIP velvet rope at an exclusive club. The combination of cedar drum vibrations and incense haze creates an almost trance-like state, drawing you deeper into the ritual energy. It's like the best concert lighting you've ever seen, only here the lights are smell and sound, and the stage is 10,000 worshipers strong. In one corner, masked warriors reenact a mock battle to honor Huitzilopochtli's mythical triumph over darkness-clashing wooden swords that ring out like chimes on a neon sign. Although no real blood is shed, the intensity rivals any modern action movie finale, complete with theatrical falls and triumphant war cries. Strange fact, some reenactors painted one eye black and one eye white to symbolize day and night, creating a dizzying half-sun, half-moon effect on their masks. Historians still debate whether this dual-eye motif originated as a mnemonic for the solar cycle, or was simply a fashion statement gone cultish. You duck into a side alcove where merchants trade jade beads and turquoise in exchange for ritual candles made from human wax like tallow, a peculiar currency that no modern ATM would accept. You barter a small woven bag of deer hide tokens for a carved obsidian mirror framed in gold to glimpse your own painted face and admire how your cinnabar streaks glow under festival lanterns. A light joke flits through your mind. Imagine using Instagram filters that actually come with ritual clauses, apply only after invoking Tenochtitlán. The festival's midpoint is marked by a synchronized banner raising dozens of poles crowned in streamers of red and gold unfurl simultaneously, their snaps echoing your drum roll as if the wind itself is drumming in counterpoint. The banners hiss upward like serpents ascending a pole, a symbol of cosmic renewal that ripples through the crowd in waves of elation. You feel a shiver of pride. Your early morning beats helped spark this moment, weaving dawn's promise into every streamer. It's the kind of coordinated flash mob your social media dreams could never storyboard, but that here feels achingly organic. As midday light blooms, you join a circle of festival goers sharing trays of atali, the thick corn gruel sweetened with maguey honey. You dip a finger, then laugh at how sticky it feels. Your fingers gleam like glazed pottery. A light joke surfaces. Atali is like the world's first protein shake minus the plastic packaging and with bonus survival cred. Across the circle, children wearing tiny jaguar skin capes drum on hollow gourds, their eager beats wobbling like training wheels on a bicycle, endearing, unrefined, and utterly infectious. The festival's crescendo builds toward the afternoon, offering priests ascend the Templo Mayor steps, bearing a gleaming obsidian mirror and a golden sun disk. Your final drumming sequence pulses beneath their ascent, a low crescendo that ripples upward, guiding their steps like an ancient step tracker. As they lay the mirror and disc on the altar tokens of devotion for Huitzilopochtli, you realize this integration of sunrise drumming into Panquetzalistli wasn't an afterthought, but the very heart of the ceremony. It proves that when sound, symbol, and soul converge, a festival transcends mere performance and becomes living myth. Sweat cooling on your skin, you lower your paddle and watch as drums of all sizes roll into a final unified cadence, a war cry turned prayer echoing through plazas and across causeways. The midday sun now reigns overhead, bathing Tenochtitlán in a warm golden glow that feels like a benediction. You inhale deeply, tasting the sharp sweetness of copal, the subtle salt of sweat, and the earthy richness of maize vapors. In that layered breath, you carry with you the truth that this ceremony, woven into Huitzilopochtli's very fabric, binds warriors, priests, and people into a timeless celebration of sun cycle and civilization. You slip into a half-lit workshop nestled at the edge of the temple district, where sawdust drifts through the air like golden pollen, and the scent of freshly carved cedar mingles with pine resin so potent it makes your modern scented candles seem like whipped cream candles. You skirt stacked planks of exotic woods, cedar for warmth, pine for brightness, and a rare threadleaf cypress imported from highland groves beyond the Valley of Mexico. Each plank bears tally marks and notches, where master craftsmen measured length and grain, whispering promises of tonal perfection. Your fingertips brush across a polished beam, still damp with resin, and you feel a low hum under your skin as though the wood itself is humming its own prelude. It's like sliding your hand over the smooth shell of a new smartphone, only here no battery is required to power its magic. In one corner, a kiln glows with smoldering coals, heating a vat of molten pine pitch and copal resin until it glistens like liquid amber. A drum maker scoops a ladle of the mixture and brushes it along the drum's interior hoop, sealing microscopic cracks and repelling wood-boring insects that once devoured temple beams with impunity. You inhale the resin's sweet, smoky tang and imagine centuries of termites gnashing their jaws in fury as this protective layer thwarted their ambitions. Strange fact, some artisans added powdered crushed cinnabar to the resin to deter not only insects, but also mischievous temple cats, granting the drum a dual purpose as both a sonic and feline fortress. Historians still debate whether that toxic mercury compound was actually intended for pest control or simply added to dazzle the gods with its shimmering red hue. Nearby deer hides hang stretched on wooden frames, soaked overnight in vats of cactus juice and rainwater. You press a fingertip onto the taut skin, cool, supple, and alive with tension, then watch as an apprentice scores the interior surface with obsidian flakes to improve adhesion. This scoring releases tiny pores in the hide, allowing the resin to seep deeper and bond more firmly. A master artisan explains that some workshops used a secret ingredient, occasional drops of bat guano dissolved in water, to introduce enzymes that soften the hide from within, yielding a drumhead capable of richer overtones. You wrinkle your nose at the thought, yet marvel at how necessity and ingenuity merged to forge acoustic mastery. A light joke flits through your mind. Imagine your noise-canceling headphones treated with guano spray talk about premium sound, though you'd probably lose friends fast. Across a low bench, skilled hands carve paddles from a single piece of armadillo bone, each one shaped to cradle perfectly in a drummer's palm. You lift one paddle and heft its weight light, yet solid, with ridges carved along the grip to prevent slippage, even when your hands sweat through a marathon dawn session. You tap the paddle's broad surface against your palm, and the hollow thud reverberates like a muted drum, a promise of balanced attack and warm sustain. Nearby, smaller paddles fashioned from jaguar bone offer sharper, more staccato accents, tools for elite Pipiltian nobles whose precision drumming set them apart. It strikes you that these implements are more than mere tools. They are extensions of the drummer's spirit, each carved with personal glyphs to bind maker and player in a timeless partnership. As dawn filters through woven reed shutters, the artisans assemble a fresh drum cedar hoop, glued with resin deer hide skin, stretched taut bone paddle, polished to a sheen. You watch the final ritual. A priest dips his palms in holy lake water, anointing each drumhead with droplets meant to consecrate the instrument. The water beads on the skin, the sun dances through it, and for just a moment the drum glows with a soft halo, an ephemeral blessing that ties earth, water, and flame in one sacred package. You feel an electric thrill knowing this very drum might soon rouse Tenochtitlán above the eastern horizon, its voice honed by months of patient craftsmanship. Behind you, a scribe unfurls a new codex scroll listing the workshop's lineage in careful glyphs. Under jaguar claw auspices, Master Tlamatini crafted this drum on the 5-reed day of the year, 2 Flint. You trace the spiral glyph for Master and imagine the weight of legacy it carries, each drum not only an instrument, but a living artifact of centuries-old tradition. Remember when those Huitzilopochtli tribute records in 1521, CE listed dozens of huehuetl as valuables paid to the Spanish crown. That popular historical event underscored the drum's worth as both currency and culture, and even today you can sense the echoes of those tribute levies in every carved notch. In that workshop, the air hums with concentrated purpose. Every curve, every bead of resin, every slit in the hide has been considered, tweaked, and perfected through generations of trial and tenderness. You realize that these secrets, exotic woods, insect-proof resins, enzyme, rich treatments, bone paddles, are the lifeblood of the ritual, the unseen architecture supporting each thunderous sunrise beat. As you help lift the newly finished drum onto its cradle, you understand that in each resonant strike to come, you carry not just sound, but an entire lineage of sacred craft. And though contemporary artisans marvel at modern materials and technology, you know that nothing quite matches the living warmth and organic precision of these hands-on traditions. Historians still debate whether these advanced treatments were widespread across the empire or confined to a handful of elite workshops near the Templo Mayor. But standing here, you feel their undeniable presence in every fiber of wood and hide. With the drum cradled beneath your arm, you step back into the open air, ready to guide its voice skyward at tomorrow's dawn, and confident that the secrets you've witnessed will echo in every heartbeat of empire for centuries to come. You step into a swirl of glittering eagle feathers and burnished gold, the exclusive pavilion where the Pippleton noble warrior-class drummers claim their place at the heart of the dawn ritual. You feel the heat from braziers igniting incense coils, their smoke curling like lazy serpents around tiers of jade and turquoise-encrusted drums reserved only for the elite. Your fingertips tingle against the cool metal of a ceremonial pectoral worn by a young noble, its surface etched with sun motifs that catch the torchlight in a million sparkles, like someone bedazzled an entire drum kit overnight. As you move closer, you admire how each Pippleton's attire amplifies not just their status, but their sound. Their jaguar skin kilts are lined with small metal rattles that chime in perfect harmony with every drum strike, creating a polyrhythmic shimmer that mere mortals can only envy. Strange fact, some nobles wove their hair into tight braids, threaded with quetzal feathers and tiny gold bells, so even their head movements contributed percussive accents to the ceremony. You lean in, catching the faint clink of those bells as a veteran Pippleton shifts weight. and realize this is the original surround sound experience, no earbuds required. Nearby, you overhear a scribe recounting a popular historical event from Moctezuma II's coronation in 1502 CE, when the Pipiltin drumming ensemble performed a sunrise crescendo so powerful that Spanish envoys reportedly felt the earth tremble beneath their feet. They likened the throbbing rhythms to cannon fire, convincing several panicked conquistadors that Tenochtitlan was bristling with hidden artillery. A light joke pops into your mind. If only today's diplomats could settle disputes with synchronized drum solos instead of talk, and maybe a Netflix binge at the after-party. You inch closer to one of the ruler's favorite drummers, a veteran whose ebony skin is streaked with blue-green chrysocolla dust meant to catch the dawn's first rays. He adjusts the tension cords on his drum, a sleek huehuetl carved from single cedar trunk and fitted with a deer hide head so taut it sings with clarity. You tap the rim experimentally and hear a crystalline sparkle beneath the deep bass tone, the result of a thin layer of crushed volcanic glass embedded under the skin to enhance high-frequency overtones, an acoustic equalizer that would make modern sound engineers weep with envy. Historians still debate whether this volcanic glass trick was widely known or guarded as a court secret accessible only to the emperor's closest allies. As the sky shifts from violet to rose, the Pipiltin take their positions in a semicircle facing east, each drum's base resting on a cushion of woven reeds dyed with cochineal so vibrant it rivals the richest carpets of foreign courts. You notice that these cushions aren't merely decorative, they dampen unwanted resonances and project the drum's power forward like foam pads under studio monitors. A Pipiltin noble glances your way, his jade-studded scepter tucked into his sash, and offers a nod that feels like an invitation to join, though you know only those of noble blood may claim a paddle here. You smile wryly, try showing up at a concert and demanding a spot on stage, and see how quickly you get escorted out. The pavilion's lattice walls are draped with banners depicting the hierarchy. At the top, the emperor's personal drummer, whose strikes are said to echo the pulse of Tonatiuh himself. Below, the Pipiltin, who earned their place through feats of valor and devotion. And at the foot, the warrior novices, still mastering the intricate rhythms required for ceremony. You overhear a whisper that the emperor's drummer once performed a solo during a thunderstorm, matching natural lightning strikes so precisely that onlookers claimed he controlled the weather with his hands. Strange fact, some accounts suggest those emergency drum solos were improvised using secret war rhythms, combining speed and syncopation, unlike any known ceremonial pattern. As anticipation builds, you trace the carved glyphs on the emperor's drum concentric circles representing solar cycles interwoven with serpent motifs, symbolizing the sun's nightly underworld journey. The drum is consecrated with a final blessing. Priests anoint its head with a paste of ground orchid petals and lake water pearls, a rare concoction said to reflect the sun's brilliance back into each beat. You hear the paste crackle like warm honey settling on toast, and you long to taste its shimmer, but alas, it's strictly forbidden to mortals. A light joke drifts through your mind. Imagine a designer energy drink made from orchid paste and pearls dubbed Sunrise Supreme, complete with a diamond-studded can. When the first pale rays break over the eastern horizon, the Pipiltin raise their paddles in silent readiness, their jeweled bracelets clinking a final harmony before the ritual crescendo. You grip your own paddle carved from the bone of a sacrificed eagle, its ridges polished smooth by generations of drummers, and feel its perfect balance between weight and agility. The air crackles with collective breath as the Pippleton lower their paddles in unison and unleash a flood of thunderous beats so precise, so controlled, that it feels like a single organism exhaling. That synchronized onslaught doesn't just awaken the sun. It broadcasts the empire's hierarchy and unity to every corner of the valley. The Pippleton's status is cemented in each measured strike, their ornate gear serving as both armor and amplifier, and their mastery of rhythm, ensuring that no novice apprentice could ever fill their roles. Though commoners drum in the lower plazas, their beats lack the refined layering and exotic materials that only the Pipilton command. Historians still debate whether this drumming caste emerged purely from military necessity or was an elaborate social stratification designed to reinforce noble privilege under the guise of ritual devotion. As the final roll subsides into the day's first light, the Pippleton bow to the Emperor's chamber, an elite gesture unseen by ordinary warriors, and lower their drums with ceremonial precision. You watch smoke from ceremonial fires drift upward, the curling tendrils weaving through frozen paddles like living threads. You step back, heart still hammering with residual echoes, and realize that you've witnessed more than a performance. You've glimpsed a living hierarchy sculpted in wood, hide, and devotion. You turn away from the pavilion and feel the sun's warmth seep into your bones, carrying the Pippleton's echoes with you as you descend the temple steps. The air below buzzes with the energy of festival crowds and the distant calls of market vendors, yet you sense the pulsating heartbeat of the nobility's drumming linger in every stone. In that moment, you know that those exclusive beats are more than sound. They are a language of power, a testament to an empire that greeted its son with precision pageantry, and an unbreakable claim to the morning itself. You find yourself slipping through the dawn-lit ruins of Tlatelolco, the air thick with the tang of scorched incense and the uneasy hush that follows conquest's echo. You clutch your huehuetl paddle tighter than ever, heart pounding, as you recall the day Spanish galleons first scraped against the Gulf Coast and Hernan Cortés marched into Tenochtitlán in 1519 CE, igniting a chain of events that would shatter centuries of drumbeat devotion. You probably won't survive the political crossfire here without a guide. Those conquistadors mean business. But at least your skin-deep rituals give you cover. Strange fact. Some conquistadors claimed indigenous drums sounded so much like cannon fire that they hesitated to advance, convinced the Aztecs had improvised siege weapons. Historians still debate whether that fear was genuine warfare caution or a convenient excuse for retreat. You drag your feet across broken mosaic tiles, each step stirring dust that smells faintly of burnt maize and old blood. Ahead, a Spanish soldier perches atop a charred huehuetl, wrapping his gauntleted fingers around its wooden rim as if sizing up a makeshift shield. A priest colonel barks orders in clipped Castilian, declaring all drums confiscated for the glory of Christ. You watch, stomach churning, as they heft massive drums onto ox carts bound for Veracruz, intended not for ritual, but to drum marching orders across sun-baked battlefields. It's like handing your prized speaker system to your least favorite neighbor, who then uses it only to play off-key Christmas carols. Along the plaza's edge, you see heaps of broken drum skins piled like sacrificial offerings. Friars in white robes Stomp on hides smeared with holy water, chanting that the devil's pulse must be silenced forever. You step closer, under the pretense of retrieving a fallen paddle, inhaling the acrid bite of sulfur and lime-cured leather. A missionary scoffs as he jabs a rosary bead at a cracked drumhead and mutters, "Let God's bells ring louder than your heathen beat." You can't help but laugh at the image modern noise ordinances would cringe at that level of zeal. Word spreads of clandestine gatherings at the foot of the ruined pyramid drummers, meeting by moonlight, their shoulders hunched beneath cloaks' palms, pressed to hidden drums carved from scavenged beams. You join one such circle in the hushed courtyard of a converted chapel where indigenous worshippers blend old-world organs with huehuetl reverberations to clandestinely greet the sun. The organ's solemn notes intertwine with drum thuds, forging a syncretic symphony that turns Catholic plainsong into a sunrise invocation. A light joke flits through your mind. Imagine your local church hosting a Saturday morning rave with vespers and bass drops. Inside the chapel's stone walls, you taste the smoky residue of copal fighting for space alongside candle wax, an aromatic clash as fragrant as a modern hipster coffee shop, cross-pollinating with clouded distilleries. You clutch a carved paddle studded with hidden glyphs, your fingertips grazing the echo of ancestral rhythms. Around you, children tap miniature drums disguised as toy tambourines, learning their heritage under the guise of Sunday school craft hour. That adaptive ingenuity warms you when conquering forces ban the drum simply hides in plain sight. Out in the remnants of Tenochtitlán's market merchants hawk small water drums, repurposed as rain gauges claiming they measure God's tears. You purchase one for a barter of maize tortillas and a whispered plea that next season's rains fall gently. Holding the drum under the midday sun, you strike it one soft hollow, almost conspiratorial. The sound rebounds off adobe walls, a ghostly echo of empire, reminding you that conquest can silence instruments, but never quite still a heart's heartbeat. As you slip away from the chapel paddle, strapped at your back like a secret code, you pass by Spanish barracks, where huehuetl rims have been hollowed out to form makeshift ammunition wagons. Each repurposed drum carcass bears carved ignota glyphs, pity marks left by Aztec artisans in tiny footnotes of resistance. You pause, running your hand along a gouged spiral that whispers, "Remember us in the breeze." A light joke curls at the edge of your lips. Your recycling bin has nothing on these resourceful revolutionaries. Near the lake's edge, you overhear a conversation between two conquistadors debating the practicality of repurposed drums. Use them for signals atop our ships, one suggests. But beware, those beats bring rain more often than any trumpet. The other chuckles and replies, or summon those hidden pagans from the marsh. You lean against a broken altar, tasting salt on the wind, and wonder whether the drums truly summon storms, or if that legend simply grew to frighten would-be drummers into silence. Despite the bans, you witness pockets of resistance elders training youths to hide dorsal paddles inside hollow gourds, drumming rustic patterns in the dead of night to keep traditions alive. You join one such nocturnal circle palm, meeting skin meeting bone, creating a soft murmur that spreads through ruined avenues and abandoned causeways. As you beat quietly, the echo feels doubly potent proof that when power confiscates drums, it cannot confiscate the will to play. Historians still debate whether these underground vigils influenced the later resurgence of indigenous music festivals or remained a fleeting flicker before fading into legend. You move on, paddle in hand, and climb a crumbling stair to the summit of a half-collapsed temple. From there, you watch the sun rise over a world forever altered by conquest, its light gilding the broken stones where 1,000 shade drums once guided warriors and priests. You raise your paddle in salute, tapping a solitary beat that resonates with defiance and memory. That single knock echoes across centuries, reminding all who listen that even conquered drums can still greet the sun. And as you descend into the brightening day paddle, slung over shoulder, you carry with you the knowledge that although conquest disrupted ceremonies and repurposed instruments, the spirit of the drum endures, beating softly in hidden corners, whispering of dawns yet to come. You step into a sun-drenched plaza in downtown Mexico City, the echo of ancient drums reborn beneath the towering columns of the Palacio de Bellas Artes. A troupe of danzantes, modern practitioners of danza azteca, circles a vividly painted replica of the Templo Mayor, their huehuetl drums strapped across chests, painted with geometric patterns and stylized suns. The scent of copal incense drifts through the air, mingling with the faint exhaust of tour buses and the hum of city traffic like incense meeting urban curry fumes. You probably won't survive the full ceremonial loop without drawing curious glances from passers-by, but at least you'll gain street cred for bravery. A light joke flits through your mind. It's like joining a flash mob in Times Square wearing your high school marching band uniform. Strange fact, in 1968, during the Mexico City Olympic opening ceremony, Aztec dancers performed a tentative drum rite before an international audience of billions. Many TV viewers thought they'd accidentally tuned into a sci-fi movie. Historians still debate whether that inclusion was genuine cultural respect or mere Cold War pageantry. You sidle closer as a lead danzante raises her paddle and delivers a crisp, resonant strike, the thundering beat rippling through the plaza like a sonic wave. Her fellow drummers respond in lockstep feet, stamping a welcome rhythm on marble tiles polished smooth by decades of tourists. You notice how their modern paddles are carved from laminated maple lighter, more flexible than the ancient armadillo bone originals, yet they deliver a surprisingly faithful echo of pre-Hispanic timbers. A light joke drifts through your thoughts. Imagine your nephew showing off drum skills on synthetic drum pads at band camp. Compared to this, it's like comparing a water pistol to a fire hose. Nearby, a mariachi ensemble tunes trumpets and violins, waiting behind the danzantes for their cue. In a nod to evolving tradition, some mariachi groups have begun incorporating small huehuetl into their performances, creating hybrid sets that blend son jarocho rhythms with Aztec drum pulses. You hear the mariachis joking that adding drums gives their music more backbone, and you can't help but laugh at the cowboy hat-clad fiddler tapping his heel to the beat like a country western remix of an ancient sunrise ritual. Strange fact, the first recorded mariachi Aztec fusion took place in Guadalajara in 1974 at the International Mariachi Festival. A local drummer swapped his vihuela for a deer-hide drum and reportedly broke 2 drumsticks in the opening set. Historians still debate whether that experiment enriched Mexico's musical tapestry or muddled 2 proud traditions. Your path leads you into the Museo del Templo Mayor, where curators have reconstructed working replicas of huehuetl based on residue analysis and iconographic evidence. You run your hand along the carefully cataloged drumhead stretched deer hide, treated with cactus juice exactly as 16th century craftsmen described, and feel the taut surface quiver under your fingertips. Nearby, an experimental acoustics team demonstrates how the replica drums reproduce spectral overtones once thought lost to time, projecting sound through strategically placed vents in the platform. A light joke crosses your mind. Imagine modern sound engineers bragging about archeo bass enhancement in their speaker specs, marketing gold right there. Strange fact, chemical tests on ancient hide fragments found traces of bat-derived enzymes confirming the use of guano in hide softening. Thermodynamic models suggest this gave the drums a 20% longer sustain. Historians still debate whether that enzymatic process was a widespread technique or confined to a handful of ritual workshops. Stepping outside, you encounter a community space where indigenous youth gather for weekly drum circles. They've customized their huehuetl with recycled skateboard wheels as stands and Python-programmed sensors to sync drum beats with smartphone light shows, an ingenious blend of old and new. You join in feeling the urban breeze whip past as your paddle connects with the drumhead, sending a muted boom rippling through a circle of smartphones held aloft. It's like dropping a viral TikTok beat that everyone can remix, though. Here, the remix involves actual hands and hips, not just thumb swipes. Strange fact, some of these youth groups received grants in 2015 from UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage Fund to document their hybrid drumming practices. Now, dozens of open-source tutorial videos populate YouTube. Historians still debate whether that digital documentation preserves authenticity or inadvertently homogenizes regional variations. Later, you travel south to Oaxaca City, where during Dia de los Muertos, the plaza transforms at midnight into a sea of marigold-strewn altars, sugar skull lanterns, and revivalist danzante troops. You stand amid flickering candles as drummers summon a hushed, rolling cadence that feels like a lullaby and a battle cry rolled into one. The scent of sugarcane molasses and burning incense envelops you, and you realize this isn't just performance. It's a communal act of remembrance echoing ancestral calls to Tenochtitlán and the underworld gods. A light joke breezes through your mind. Your local Halloween party could never compete with an all-night ancestral rave lit by candlelight and cosmic energy. By sunrise, you find yourself in a small museum in Los Angeles' Olvera Street, where a danza Azteca group in elaborate regalia greets the dawn with a modest drum circle under palm trees. Tourists gape at feathered headdresses against the California skyline as you take a paddle and join a mellow beat that feels like home and exile at once. The drummer next to you, a second-generation immigrant, smiles and says, "This is how we carry the sunrise across oceans, reminding you that these rhythms transcend geography." Strange fact, the first Aztec revival group in the U.S. formed in Los Angeles in 1973, inspired by Cholos reclaiming pre-Hispanic identity. Their founding members once performed atop freeway overpasses, drumming to traffic's pulse. Historians still debate whether those urban borderlands gatherings represent authentic tradition or the birth of a new diasporic cultural expression. As you pack up your drum under the gentle California light, you carry with you the weight of centuries, the thunderous summits, the clandestine chapel circles, the neon fusion stages, and the quiet commemoration under marigold skies. You feel the drum's living voice resonate in your bones, a testament to resilience, adaptation, and the enduring power of percussive devotion. And as you step away, you realize that today's danzantes and mariachis aren't just reviving a ritual, they're ensuring it keeps beating dawn after dawn in every plaza where the sun demands its morning greeting. You find yourself atop a gentle hill overlooking the ancient causeways of Tenochtitlán, now Mexico City's pulsing heart, where the echoes of dawn drumming still linger in the air like a half-remembered dream. Here, where steel and glass towers rise above submerged pyramids, the sun's first rays strike flooded streets rather than temple stones, and yet you feel that same electric thrill in the morning air. This moment is both old and new. The horizon blushes with familiar promise, even as city traffic hums below a modern heartbeat overlaying the age-old pulse you helped summon centuries ago. In this place of layered history, you recall the inaugural broadcast of Aztec-inspired morning ceremonies on Mexican national radio in 1930. CE, a popular historical event celebrated as the world's first live transmission of indigenous ritual. At dawn, speakers in households across the nation crackled with huehuetl beats, and priestly chants carried through antennas rather than reed ramps. Grandmothers tuned their antique radios to WBX in Mexico City, eager for that sonic handshake between past and present. A light joke flits through your mind. Missing that program meant you'd have to rely on your abuela's memory, which between you and me could turn a 5-beat invocation into a 13-beat freestyle by memory's hiccups. These early radio broadcasts carried more than ritual. They transmitted hope and unity during a time of national rebuilding. Historians still debate whether the broadcasts were orchestrated as genuine cultural revival efforts or as state propaganda to forge a unified post-revolutionary identity. Either way, when those first drum beats crackled over the airwaves, they proved that sunrise rituals could leap from pyramid summits to living rooms, binding listeners across mountains and plains. Decades passed, and as urbanization swallowed lake islands, the dawn drum persisted in subtler ways. You remember the 1968 Olympic opening ceremony when choreographer Sergio Calderón resurrected a miniature Aztec drum ensemble to accompany a torch relay through Olympic Park? Live television cameras panned across drummers in feathered regalia, their modern lacquered paddles clicking in sync with Olympic fanfare. Strange fact, some viewers mistook the drum cadence for a glitch in the broadcast signal, prompting technical engineers to scramble frantically for non-existent audio malfunctions. Historians still debate whether that inclusion genuinely honored indigenous heritage or simply added exotic flair to an otherwise Eurocentric spectacle. In the years that followed, breakfast television shows began featuring sunrise segments where on-air hosts greeted the day with brief drum interludes. Clip montages showed danzantes performing against backdrops of skyscrapers and desert vistas, a visual shorthand for Mexico's fusion identity. You catch yourself humming that familiar 5-beat phrase, thump, pause, thump, over your morning coffee, a subconscious nod to ancestors who once pumped up the dawn on temple summits. It's like an alarm clock you didn't buy, but which nonetheless wakes you reliably each day. Tourists now flock to dedicated sunrise ceremony tours, gathering at reconstructed pyramids in the Aztec World Park at Teotihuacan. At dawn, guides draped in colorful feathers lead you through reenacted rituals, handing you laminated drum passports to record each beat you play. The air vibrates with student drummers from around the globe, each tapping a huehuetl-style drum imported from Veracruz, all chasing that primordial connection. Strange fact, some tour operators claim a drum tour guarantee. If you don't feel spiritually recharged by the fifth beat, you get a free tamale. Historians still debate whether these guarantees reflect genuine research on drumming's meditative effects or merely clever marketing. Beyond Mexico's borders, diaspora communities have woven dawn drumming into their own rhythms. In Los Angeles, at the annual Dia de la Luz festival, Aztec drums reverberate around Echo Park Lake just before sunrise, bridging Pacific time with ancient tradition. You remember joining that circle paddle in hand, feeling the city's early commuters share space with ceremonial drummers, headphones looping pop music, a collision of worlds that somehow felt harmonious. A light joke surfaces. Try explaining to your Uber driver why you tapped a drum at sunrise in a parking lot, then watch him ask for your Spotify plug-in. In academic circles, ethnomusicologists pore over decaying drum skins salvaged from colonial archives, extracting DNA traces of deer and resins to reconstruct original huehuetl recipes. Some labs have even 3D scanned surviving bone paddles to recreate them in modern polymers, an intersection of ancient craft and cutting-edge tech. Strange fact, one experimental drum retrofitted with pressure sensors can translate your paddle strokes into MIDI signals that trigger synthesized sunrise synthesizer pads, an Aztec ambient crossover that has inspired niche electronic artists. Historians still debate whether such projects honor tradition or risk trivializing sacred rituals into Netflix binge backdrops. Meanwhile, social media hashtags like Dawn Drum Challenge invite amateurs worldwide to film themselves drumming. At sunrise, tagging friends across time zones to carry the beat. You've seen pregnant influencers, jogging, bloggers, and corporate CEOs all rise before dawn paddle in hand to join this virtual rhythmic relay. It's like a synchronized global flash mob, except instead of TikTok dances, you're resurrecting an empire's heartbeat. Some critics scoff that the Dawn Drum Challenge dilutes spiritual depth into performative trendiness. Historians still debate whether online drumming fosters genuine cultural respect or merely flirts with novelty. Yet, despite debate, the drum endures. You think of the children in remote villages leaping from their dirt-floored homes to pound handmade gourds at first light, of the elderly spinning memory discs of old radio broadcasts, of urbanites paddling on public plazas, of festival stages and museum halls echoing with that 5-beat invocation. Each dawn, as sunlight pours across the land, the drumbeat threads together countless lives in a tapestry of sound and hope. And you, having climbed temple steps and traversed centuries, carry that legacy forward. The huehuetl's voice remains undiminished, echoing through airwaves, plazas, and pixels, reminding every listener that no matter how far we roam, the sun always needs its morning greeting. Slow the rhythm of your breathing as the sun continues its steady rise, warming the horizon with gentle promise. Let your shoulders uncoil, easing tension carried from yesterday's to-do list and tomorrow's tasks. Feel the warmth of golden light in your palms as though the very dawn you called centuries ago now embraces you personally, a soft benediction against your skin. Breathe deeply, drawing in the rich scent of earth and pollen, and exhale the weight of hurried moments into a far-off memory. Imagine paddles laid to rest skins, relaxing like yawning musicians settling after a grand performance. Hear the faint echo of the final drumbeat recede into soft silence, replaced by bird song and the whisper of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze. Allow your mind to drift across water-lapped pyramids and bustling city plazas alike, carried by a lullaby of light and memory. In this quiet interval, feel connected to ancestors who marveled at sunrise, to neighbors who raise cups in morning toast to every soul touched by that primordial heartbeat. Close your eyes and let golden fields of maize unfurl in your dreams, each stalk nodding in unison to a silent drum that continues to play within your heart. Let the memory of incense smoke and feathered cloaks dissolve into a tender calm. Here, there is no urgency, no conqueror's drum, no modern alarm, only the gentle, unwavering promise of dawn, and the enduring song of a single simple beat that greets each day anew. Good night.